Welcome to Foxtrot Whiskey Bravo. I'm your host, Beth. Today's hot topic is all about those scholarships, right? How to apply, when to apply, what to get ready, and what are your chances of winning the money. I hope you enjoy this topic. Make sure to pay attention, listen to it more than once, and let's get started. So today's hot topic is all about scholarships, right? Before we get started, please excuse my dog. I have a really big dog. She barks sometimes. She snores really loud. She breathes heavily like a 400-pound man. So please excuse her when you hear her in the background. Today's topic, I am mainly winging it. I usually have an outline, but since this one's so late and I want to get it out of the way, I'm going to wing this one as much as I can. Scholarships. The number one thing most people say is that they cannot find scholarships for aviation, right? Yes, you cannot find them, but you know what? They're there if you know where to look at. You can Google aviation scholarships, and don't only look at the first page, second page, third page. Go all the way down to page 5, and just open up all the tabs and make you a folder, and save all those links. So when you get bored one day, you go back and you look at those links. Don't spend 3 days looking for scholarships. Do it slowly, because if you spend all that time, trust me, you're gonna get very frustrated and you're probably gonna stop. Why? Because I did that in the beginning. Another way you can find scholarships is look at the flying magazines. If you're not subscribed to any flying magazines, you need to subscribe or join those groups, because most likely you get free flying magazines. And those flying magazines have scholarships inside them. You just have to open the magazine up and read. Another way you can find aviation scholarships is by getting on Facebook. Yes, everybody's on Facebook already. So get on Facebook, go to your aviation groups, and search in those groups for scholarships. Don't post in the group saying, "Hey guys, do you know where I can find scholarships?" or how do I fund my flying?" If you do that, most likely you can get a lot of negative responses. The best thing to do is get in those groups, use the search function, type in the word scholarship, and hit enter. And anytime someone put the word scholarship in there, it's going to pop up and you're not asking for people for help, right? We are in 2018. Everything's there for you. You just have to work at it. No one in life is going to give you anything. And you expect to go to aviation and you want to do a GoFundMe and you think the GoFundMe is going to pay for your flying? Think twice. That is not going to work. You're going to have to go and do the work yourself to get these scholarships. Another way you can find scholarship is also by getting the scholarship app, right? Another way to get the scholarships is also by going in your iTunes or your Google Play. For sure I know it's on iTunes because I have iTunes, right? It's Aerospace Scholarships by Carl Valeri. He has almost every aviation scholarship that he knows in this book, and I believe the book costs like $10. It's worth it, right? So it saves you some time if you're one of those lazy people. If you don't want to search, go buy this thing. I think it's like $10, and there you go. Another way to do it is that on my website, I do have a PDF of scholarships that I found. It's outdated, but hey, there's links. You click on this link, and this link will take you to the website to whoever has the scholarships, and you just need to look at the deadlines. So I gave you some methods on how to find scholarships. Now it's up to you to go look and find them. Now you found these scholarships, what do you have to do next? Sometimes you have to join a certain organization to apply for these scholarships, right? So everything in life is not free. It's a gamble that you have to take, right? Like, okay, if I join this organization, it's gonna cost me, I don't know, say $80 to join. Apply for this scholarship, 1, 2, or 3, depends on the maximum number you can apply for, right? So if they told you the maximum number you can apply for is 5, you know what? You better apply for 5, because you only apply for 5. Because if you only apply for 1, you're limiting your chances of winning. It's like playing the lottery. You have to play a lottery a lot of times, or just scratch offs, hoping to win some kind of money. You have to pay in order to play, right? So you join these organizations, and these organizations will give you a chance to win one of their scholarships. Most people do not want to join, therefore your chances of winning that scholarship is just going to increase. Because a lot of people like to whine and complain. They need money for flight training, but they do not want to spend that money to apply for those scholarships, right? So it's $80, $90. Go ahead and apply, because if you go out on the weekend with your boys or your girls, or you go shopping, that's the money you could use to apply for these scholarships. Now you join organization XYZ, you paid your membership dues, and now you're about to apply for the scholarship. The first thing you need to do now is read the requirements, right? Sometimes you can see these scholarship requirements before you join organization X, Y, and Z. A lot of complaints I hear is about age, right? Some of these scholarships, they say for young people, but they don't say the age requirement, right? If it says 18 to 25 and you're 30, then maybe don't apply for that one at all, because you don't fit the age range. But if they say young people and they don't put an age range on it, and you're 35, I say go ahead and apply, because you think about it. To a 70-year-old, a 35-year-old person is young. To a 25-year-old, an 18-year-old person is young. To an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old person is young. So then you said young people, it depends on the reader what is young and old. That's how I see that part, right? Unless it has an age requirement, I still apply, because you know what? I'm 36 and I still think I'm young, so I go ahead and apply for it. The next thing that you have to look at, some scholarship says, some organizations, they offer some scholarships for females, but in the requirements, it does not say females only. Like WAI, right? It's a female organization. They have scholarships. Their main target market is females, but on some of their scholarship applications, the requirements don't say females. If it doesn't say a female and you're a male, I'll say go ahead and apply. Unless it said a female, then do not apply for that one. Some scholarships are for a specific area in the United States. So make sure you live in that specific area before you apply for that scholarship. Some scholarships require you to be a United States citizen. Some do not require you to be a United States citizen. So make sure you look at that requirement also. So these are some things that you do have to take in mind when you're applying for scholarships. Those are the basic things that you have to do, and we're going to get more deep into the topic right now. Now, education, right? Some scholarships are specifically for high school students, some are specifically for college students, and some is for anybody, right? So it depends on how you look at this and how you want to gamble it, but some are saying for juniors or seniors or first year out of college. You have to think about it one or two ways. If you graduated college already and you have the essay done and all the requirements done, it doesn't hurt to try to apply, because at least the people you're applying a scholarship for, they know that you graduated from college already, right? They know your GPA, and then they might still look at your application, even though you're not in college right now. I don't know how that works, but it doesn't hurt to try. I still say try, and if you don't get it, you just don't get it. It does not hurt to try, right? It's like Easter, like going Easter egg hunting, right? Do you want one egg in your basket, or you want 20 eggs in your basket? It's up to you how you look at these kind of things. Some of them have a specific GPA. Some say a minimum of 3.0. You have to have the 3.0 GPA. If I didn't have the 3.0 GPA, if that was required, I wouldn't apply for it. Because that's the minimum, right? Now, some other requirements that almost all scholarships ask you for. They ask you for recommendation letters. You have to have recommendation letters already. My thing is, if you're thinking of applying for scholarships, you haven't even looked into them yet, I would say go ahead and start getting your recommendation letters together. Why? Because you're going to need them. And I would try to get at least 4 or 5 recommendation letters before I apply for my scholarships. Yes, some require 2, some require 3, but if it requires 3 and you only ask 3 people and one flakes on you or one didn't give it to you on time, you can't apply for that scholarship because the minimum required was 3. So go ahead and ask for 4 and 5, and you have all these recommendation letters already on your computer, on your iPad, in your email, on your Google Drive, wherever you want to keep them handy. So when you apply, now who should you get recommendation letters from, right? It depends on what scholarship you're applying for and where you at in your aviation background. I would say maybe as a CFI that you're flying with. If you're active in your aviation community, like you volunteer a lot, ask the organization you volunteer with. That's 2 already. If you have a job, right, and you're doing well at your job, right? If you suck at your job, do not ask your boss for a recommendation letter. Make sure you're doing well at your job, right? So ask your boss for a recommendation letter. That will help a lot. Who else can you ask? You could, if you're still in college, ask 1 or 2 of your professors for a recommendation letter. If you're a mentee and you have a mentor, ask your mentor for a recommendation letter. Try to get as many as possible. Have them addressed to the scholarship board or the scholarship committee. Make sure when they do this, they type it up, they print out that recommendation letter, then they sign it with a pen, right? It has to be a pen, not type. Make sure they sign it with a pen. Once they get done signing it with the pen, have them scan it and send it back to you. It seems like a lot of work, but I learned the hard way, right? So I didn't know that the scholarships have to be signed with a pen. It can be e-signed. You cannot sign it on a PDF on their iPad or anything like that. It needs to be their actual signature. Make sure you tell all of them that, so when you have them inside your file. The next thing, which I hate doing because I am not an English person. Oh, see that sign? It's the take that back. It's the essay that you have to write when you're applying for scholarships. I'm not an English person, so writing is not my strongest point, but I get it done. Almost all scholarships that you apply for, you have to have some basic stuff. And then depending on what you have, you add stuff to it, right? So your basic stuff that you need to have is like a few paragraphs. Your first paragraph, I would talk about who you are, where you're from, what point you are in your aviation career or profession, and what rating certificates that you already have right now, and maybe like a line or 2 what your current job title is. That's pretty good. That's a few lines. The next paragraph I will write will be about your aviation goals, right? And when you have your aviation goals, make sure it's very specific of what you want to do with a timeline, and I wouldn't put years, but I'll at least put what I would like to get done and how I would like to get done and how I'm going to tackle it. Some might want to ask also about how are you funding your aviation background, your aviation career, right? So how are you funding it? And a lot of them want to ask you that, okay, if you do not win the scholarship, how do you expect to keep funding your flight training? So that be in one paragraph. Play around with it how you want to write it. Another paragraph you might have to write, these are basic ones, is about any kind of volunteer work you're doing right now, either in aviation or anything in your career. If you're not volunteering, you need to start volunteering, because a big portion of receiving those scholarships is that you're active in your community. You hear what I said? You have to be active in your community, and if this organization you're applying for is active in your community, go ahead and make sure you volunteer with this organization, because at least your name is getting out with the correct people. And then the next paragraph will be whatever the scholarship asks you that's very specific to that specific scholarship, right? And the last one will be your conclusion. Make sure you write a conclusion and always say thank you. So those are the basic things you have to have in your essay. If you're like me and English is not your strong subject, I say you write it out, read it out loud. I have Grammarly on my iPad or my laptop. Put it in Grammarly. It checks your grammar. It gives you a grade on it. After you get done with that, send it over to your the smartest person that's good at English friend, and have them proofread it for you again, and then you're done. And then you have a basic outline for your scholarship essays. You keep this basic background as a template, and whatever questions you have to answer, you add it to this template. So every time you're applying for a scholarship, you're not writing essays over and over and over again. And a good thing about aviation scholarships, the average one is 500 words. Some are 750 and some are 250. 250, you have to be straight to the point. You can't even put a lot of words on that. And make sure, this is what I learned, make sure you do word count. Not all, but some of them will get your essay, put in a document, and check how many words that you have for your scholarship. If it's 500 words and you put 510, some scholarship committees will automatically disqualify you because you did not follow directions. So say 500 words, you keep it 500 words. If you have to condense it, take some words out, put some colons in there, do whatever you have to do to keep your essay at the maximum or below the maximum word count. Some scholarships also will want to know proof of your flight experience, right? They want to know if you're a student pilot, if you're a private pilot, instrument, commercial. Make sure you take a picture of those or scan it and have that documents ready. They want to know what medical you have, so make sure you have your medical stuff. Take a picture of it and have it together. And those written exams. Yes, they tell you a 70 is passing. It is passing for FAA, right? But when you apply for these scholarships, you want to make sure you can make the highest grade possible on those written exams, because somebody else might have all the same amount of points that you have, and the only tiebreaker is that written exam. Do you want to be the person with a 70, or do you want to be the person with a 90 about to get $5,000? Which one do you want to be, right? So think about it. So when you're doing these written exams, try to score the highest possible grade that you can. Another thing to have ready too, let's talk about flight experiences. Most scholarships want the last 3 pages of your logbook. So be prepared to take a picture or scan the last 3 pages of your logbook. When we're talking about scanning, there's a lot of apps you could get for your iPad or your notebook to take a picture, and it has it as a scanned document, and then you could upload it to a PDF version. Now, someone will ask you about which flight school that you want to go to. This is a tough one, right? So make sure you know which flight school you want to go to, the information, and what rating or certificate that you're planning to get to this flight school. If some also, you have to be careful. I applied and won the 99 scholarship, right? When I applied for this one, I didn't know much, but they make you fill out a form, and on this form, you take it to the school before you apply, and they fill out the cost of that certificate, right? When my flight school did this, they put practically the minimum, a little bit above the minimum was going to cost to get that certificate. And that's all the money I got, right? So they put, say I needed $4,500 for the certificate, using a little bit over the FAA minimum that you need for this. And we all know, no one completes anything under the FAA minimum requires, right? If you do, you're a genius and congratulations, right? But if you're like me and you take you some time to learn stuff, if you're applying for anything, ask you for a cost, I say overestimate, because if you underestimate it, that's all the money they're gonna give you. They said I need $4,500 or $4,600. I end up spending like $7,000. And if I asked for $7,000, I would have gotten $7,000. But I was not aware how this stuff works, and I'm still learning how this stuff works. So if they ever ask you for a quote from a school to help you pay for a complete certificate or a complete rating, overestimate. Talk to the accountant, tell them that you want to go a little over and then not do the minimum, because you might only get the minimum and be stuck paying $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 extra. So those are things I learned. So if you're still listening to this episode, thank you for listening in. And this part right here is going to talk about how I've been successful applying for scholarships, right? Everything before this point right here in time was just basic stuff, right? But I'm going to tell you how I've been successful applying for scholarships. So make sure you listen to this part of the episode, and make sure, please share this with other people, right? Please share. So the first thing I do, this is my personal thing, is that I'm always on my iPad. So on my iPad, under the little note thing, every time I see a scholarship, right, I copy the link. I don't look at it a lot. I copy the link. I put the link on my notepad, and I go down to the scholarship and I put the due dates. When is it due? So it's either due, and I put like August, September, whatever, I don't know, January, February. I put the due dates, right? And later on, I organize it. So when I open this little notepad up, under January, I have all the scholarships are due in January. If it's February, I have all the scholarships due in February. This way, I'm keeping myself organized, and I'm not spending all this time looking at these scholarships. So I get on Google, I search it, I find the scholarship I think I want to apply to, I copy the link, I put that link in the notepad under specific months that is due under. So therefore, in December, I don't know, right middle December, I go to my notepad, I look at the scholarships that are due in January, and I check. Cause most scholarships are due either the 15th, either due the first of the month, the 15th of the month, or the last day of the month, right? So in December, I start organizing my little notes in my little notepad, and I just look at the scholarships I want to get done first. So if it's due in January the 1st, I start doing those requirements first, 15th, 2nd, 30th, the very last of the month. that's how I get myself organized of my scholarships. Now all my scholarships are in order what they're due by. So then I go to that list and I see the ones I really want to apply to, right? So I don't know, whatever I want to really apply to, I look at those. I use my iPad for everything in my computer, right? So then I make a document, a PDF document. I have a PDF editor inside my iPad. I make a PDF folder inside the PDF thing with the scholarship name on it. So say if it was a 99 scholarship or the OBAP scholarship or American Flyers, right? I put that title on that folder. Then we talked about the documents that you need all the time like a few minutes ago, right? So in that folder, I start copying all my documents I need, the requirements. So if it says I need 2 recommendation letters, I look at all 5 recommendation letters I have, and I put the 2 I think that are going to help me for this scholarship. If it says I need a copy of my medical, I put a copy of my medical. If it says I need a copy of my birth certificate, I put a copy of my birth certificate in there. Therefore, inside this folder, I have almost all my documents I need. Only thing I have to work on next is the application, which most of the applications are in PDF. And if you download this PDF editor and you pay, I think, like $5.99 for a whole year for it, you can edit PDFs on your iPad while you're laying in the bed, right? Don't be on Facebook. Edit those applications while you're laying down in bed and get off of Facebook. I edit and I put my application in there. Then I start making bullet points in another notepad, a clean paper, of what is required from the essay. Okay, so I write down everything that's required from the essay. And then once you get closer to the deadline, like, I don't know, 2 weeks out or something like that, or a week out, I sit on my laptop, I open my scholarship essay. Remember, it's just going to be your template. I open my template essay up. I open that up, and then I look at my notes I made, what's required for the scholarship. And I make sure my essay has everything that scholarship is required. If I need to add more, I just add more inside of it. This way, it's making my life a little easier. Then once I finish writing my essay on my laptop, I save it, I print it as a PDF, and then I email it to myself. Once I email it to myself, I then just open up in the PDF editor, and then I just put it in that folder for that scholarship. Therefore, everything is going to be already in one folder. So now in that folder, you have all your documents, you have your application, and you have your essay. You have everything that's required. And my PDF editor, I told you, it's really cheap. You select all the documents in the order they go into. Usually it's the application first. Next, it usually is your essay. Then it's going to be whatever documents required next for the scholarship. You put them in that order and you hit merge. And it merges all those documents that you have into one file. And then from there, you hit send and send it to your email and email it to whoever it's supposed to go email to. And when I learned this, once I email my scholarships out, I always, in the body, say, I put my name on the subject, I put the scholarship I'm applying for, and then once I have that scholarship I'm applying for on the subject, in the body, I always put, please let me know if you're able to, please let me know if you receive this document and you're able to open them. I had one time I applied for the scholarship and the people was never ever able to open my scholarship, and I didn't win that scholarship, but I learned my lesson, right? So I always ask, let me know if you're able to, let me know if you receive this and you're able to open. Therefore, you know they got it and you're good to go. Now you're applying for another scholarship. Say you're applying one from, I don't know, American Airlines scholarship. For some odd reason, they have American Airlines scholarship. you do the exact same thing. You have all your documents that you need already saved on a folder in your laptop or your iPad. You just have to copy those documents, put them in a folder, open up their application, fill out their application, put it in the exact same folder, then just work on your essay, put it in the folder, combine all your documents, and send. Once you do this, it's going to save you a lot of time. When I first started applying for scholarships, it used to take me like hours to apply for scholarships because I was not organized. Now, if a scholarship is due on the 15th of the month, I can have it done within 3 days because I am more organized by having everything already saved on my iPad or my laptop, and I just gotta copy and paste stuff. I only copy and paste. I do not use my original documents, because therefore my original documents are automatically saved on what I need them to be saved on. Okay. So another pointer I could give you applying for aviation scholarship is apply. A lot of messages I got either on Facebook or Instagram is that I applied for a scholarship and I didn't get it, therefore I don't believe in them ever again, right? Come on now. Think about it. Do you think about it? Does that even make sense? No, like I said earlier, it's like playing the lottery. You have to pay in order to play. You're going to have to apply to a lot of them in order to win some. And guess what? Apply to those scholarships only worth $100,000, $500,000 because something is better than nothing. If you win a scholarship for $500, guess what? Put that money aside, and guess what? That's your check ride money. You don't have to worry about your check ride because you won this scholarship and you already got your money put away. If you win $1,000, guess what? That's your money for your check ride as your DPE fee. And that's the money, so it depends where you live at, that's the money for your airplane rental for your check ride. Something is better than nothing. And apply to all the scholarships you are qualified to apply to. I'm letting you know right now, I applied to a lot of scholarships. I can't even lie and tell you how many I applied to. It's probably over 20 or 30 scholarships I applied to a year. Did you hear that? A year. That's a lot of scholarships, but guess what? It works out. I'm right now, I was able to get scholarships. They didn't fund it 100%, right? But it helps a lot. I got scholarships to help me get my instrument, my TELWA endorsement, my commercial, and my CFI. Because I applied and I used the money wisely. Sometimes it doesn't cover all of it, but guess what? You have to work. If you're depending on getting financial aid or getting scholarships to pay for your flight training, it's not going to work. You are going to have to work in order to fund your flight training. The scholarships or the financial aid is there to help you get to the point where you need to be. You cannot depend on it 100%. Some other pointers I learned. So when I was getting my private, I was applying for scholarships. Not as many, but I never won anything. Once I got my private out of the way, my chances increased by 90%. So if you're applying for scholarships to help you get your private, and let's say you're on your private but you haven't soloed yet, the chances of you getting that scholarship is going to be very, very slim, unless it's a scholarship that's just for private pilots and whatever point you are in your aviation right now, right? If that's the truth, then make sure when you're applying for these scholarships, your CFI gives you a really good recommendation letter, your boss probably give you a good recommendation letter, and you pass your written exam. Because think about it, everybody's getting a private pilot, can't fund it, is going to be applying for this scholarship. How are you going to stand out from everybody else? That written exam could be your key. Oh, and also make sure you have your medical. So, if you're getting your private pilot just to enjoy flying, you probably need a third class medical only. If you're getting your private pilot in order to go to airlines and you want to increase your chances of winning this scholarship, I would suggest maybe getting a first class medical, because that's what they usually require in the airlines if you try to be captain, right? And your scholarship, you put, I don't know, my name is Elizabeth and my goal is to be a captain at American Airlines. And I will need your help to get me to this point in my career by helping me fund my private pilot, right? So if that was part of your scholarship, you say you want to be a captain at the airlines, make sure you have that first class medical, because they'll go together. And make sure you do really well on your written exam, because they're looking at all of these aspects. And if you're working, make sure your boss gives you a really good recommendation letter, because this shows you that you're committed to your job and you're able to do stuff correctly, right? So that's another pointer. So I think this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to wrap it up. I hope this podcast helped you when you're applying for aviation scholarships, right? If you need mentoring or you need my advice on your essays, remember, I am not an English major, right? So don't send it to me to check your grammar, but you can send it to me to make sure your essay sounds okay and you have good points in your essay to help you apply for those scholarships. If you have any questions, please feel free to inbox me on Instagram and on Twitter under NerdyBethTX, which is Tango X-Ray. Send me an email at nerdybethtx@gmail.com. And any questions that you might have, so just feel free to send them to me. What else I can say? If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a positive review. If you did not enjoy this podcast, please still leave me a review so I can know which areas to improve on. If you like this podcast, also please share it with one more person, especially if there's a young person or older person, anyone that needs help funding their aviation training and would like to get free money in the form of scholarships. But remember, scholarship is not to fund all your aviation training. It's to aid your aviation training. Do not expect them to pay for all your aviation stuff. Like I said, it funds part of it. Thank you for listening to Foxtrot Whiskey Bravo. Make sure to tune into your next episode. I don't know when I'm going to post the next one because I've been very busy. Right now, I am getting ready to get my CFI done. Thank you again for listening. Peace. Bye.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.